see them standing in kind of the pecking order of the Big Ten at this point? Because to me, it's Purdue and everyone else. I'm going to have a very difficult time, and I'll be honest. Like I love what Houston's done. I think St. John's getting the kid from Idaho State as a point guard has kind of convinced me that they are a legitimate top 5 team. I love what UConn's done this offseason. I think Texas Tech is really underrated. I'm going to have a very, very difficult time not making Purdue be the preseason number 1 team and not having Braden Smith be the preseason player of the year for me nationally, not just in the Big Ten, nationally. Can Illinois compete with them? Are they on the same tier as Purdue?
I think for Purdue, it remains to be seen what it looks like defensively. I think it'll be better, and I'll get into those reasons. But I think if you told me, Rob, hey, I'm going to make Purdue the preseason number 1 team in the country, I couldn't argue with you, because you got the best point guard in America. You have another All-American at the 4-5, and you got one of the best coaches in the game. I mean, did you check those 3 boxes? Who else can say that in America? And I know, Houston just played in the title game, but LJ Cryer was a big piece for them. Juwan Roberts was a big piece for them. Like they lost some substantial pieces. And when we look at preseason rankings, which I don't know how much stock everybody wants to put into them, but if you're going to do them, Purdue fits all the criteria there. Now, like what I do really like about them, I talked about the retention, who they bring back. You get year 4 of Lawyer. I think CJ Cox is going to take a step forward. You fortified that front court rotation. I mean, last year, Caleb First, thank God he kind of came on late in the year and he played his role, but Jacobson and Clough coming in, being a part of that front court rotation, I think will allow them to not necessarily have to hide Trey Coffin-Renn like they did last year. They had to get so creative with coverages not because Trey Coffin-Renn's a bad defender. They just need to keep him out of foul trouble because they didn't have anybody in the front court. Now I think you can be maybe a little bit more aggressive or have more of a set defense that you want to run. I think that's only going to help them on that end. But one of the most important pieces too for Purdue, when you look at Omer Mayer or Meyer, however you pronounce it, that's something they didn't have last year. And that's a guy, and we'll see how effective he is at this level, but that's a guy that can at least spell Braden Smith a little bit. And I'm not even talking about when Braden's out of the game. Braden doesn't go out of the game very much. When he's in the game, because you look at the end of the season last year, Braden Smith played, 5 of those last 6 games he played all 40 minutes. And the one he didn't, he played 39. That may still be the case next year, but it's a different type of 40 minutes. It's not 40 minutes with the weight of the world on your shoulders, manning all the ball handling responsibilities. So he can at least alleviate some of that. Mayer can. Who can compete with them? I mean, we'll see what it looks like defensively. Jacobson's going to help that as just a guy 7'3", 7'4", that's going to be in the interior that you're adding to this crop. But
Clough too, man. I think it's going to be Clough this year. I think Jacobson. I think the reason they brought in Clough was because they wanted a little bit of a window to get Jacobson up to speed at that 5 spot. And Clough, I'm telling you, man, like I got an up close look at him with South Dakota State when we had him in our event in Sioux Falls, and that dude is like every bit of 7'1", 260 pounds. Like he is an enormous human being that can do all of the stuff that Matt Painter is going to want a 7'1" massive human being to be able to do.
Yeah, and I think I don't think he'll be anywhere near the production he had at South Dakota State last year, but I do think he'll be a step up from where he was at Washington State. I think he was 8-4 maybe, and depending on how and again, Matt Painter isn't shy to kind of rotate guys. I mean, we saw Zach Edey and Trevion Williams just went straight right down the middle, 19 minutes, whatever it ended up being. I don't think he's afraid to do that if he just wants to stick Trey Coffin-Renn at the 4 the majority of the time. So yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. And but again, who competes with them? I think we just talked about Illinois. I think Illinois is a lot easier to forecast this year than they were last year. I think they'll be in that mix. I think when you look at everyone else, Michigan is the team that, as far as draft decisions go, that is the team that is going to experience the most variance based off of one decision with Lendeberg. Like I think his decision is going to sway that team to probably projected either second in the conference to 6th or 7th, truly. Because he You look at like the Danny Wolf blueprint that's been set. I mean, Yax fits in perfectly to that and was almost a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio guy, albeit in a weaker conference. And Michigan had those issues last year, but I like the pieces around them. We'll see what happens with Cadeau. They're going to be in the mix there. Michigan State, I mean, it's so funny to me because I think they're lingering. Tom Izzo got a taste of being at the top of that league again, and he's gonna want that feeling again. And when I look at their system, Michigan State's system, it's still there. What do?
Mm-hmm.
They rebound and they play with pace. Fears is still there. Colin Carr is still there. All those guys, the front court. I mean, Zapala's gone, but Cooper and Kohler, they're still there, and they still rebound their asses off. And so you add Caleb Glenn to that, who's a gazelle who can inhale rebounds and glass. You add Trey Fort to that, who's kind of like a mini Bryn Forbes.
Caleb Glenn is a freak athlete. Like he's not quite Colin Carr, but he is a freak athlete. He could shoot it. He could score. Like, I think that he got a little bit of that Louisville stink off of him last year by going to FAU and finding a way to be able to be competitive on a winning team. Like, he is, when I think of Tom Izzo wings, like those guys in the 3-4 spot that are 6'7", that are built like football players, that can rebound, that can get to the rim, that can make enough shots, but are just kind of out there, like more physical and more athletic than you. Like, he's kind of in that mold. And I think that you could play him and Colin Carr together at the 3-4 with a 5-man out there and feel really good about it. And Trey Fort is he didn't have the greatest year in Mississippi State last year, but the dude is he's a flamethrower that averaged like 20 a game on like 42% from three at the JUCO ranks. And I know it's JUCO, but he's got SEC experience. He can get him up. He's not Jace Richardson, but I don't think you need him to be Jace Richardson.
No, you don't. And it remains to be seen. I know they're in the mix for this point guard over in Israel as well. That would just, again, I think they know last year their system really raised their floor, but Jace Richardson pushed that ceiling higher. And so the who they got right now with that system is great, but they're going to need probably one more guy, I think, to push that over the top. And then I think the last team that you got to look at is UCLA. And I wouldn't have. So I see some people ranking them like in the top 10. I don't see that at all. I think they're in that 22 to 28 range. The retention is nice. I mean, you add Donovan Dent, of course. I mean, but Bilodeau was tremendous last year for them as a stretch four, and he played the 5 sometimes. But what do you like? Do you start Xavier Booker at the 5? I mean, I know you're going to have Dent, you're going to have Clark, you're going to have Daly. Maybe Perry makes his way in there. But do you start Booker at the 5? And are you in the sweepstakes for Darian Williams? Like, I don't know, because that would obviously be a needle mover. Right now, I don't see the top 10 outlook for them, but they could be one really impact piece away from at least being in those conversations.
Yeah, look, anyone that gets Darian Williams to me is getting someone that I will have be a first-team All-American next year. I'll tell you that, like point blank period right now, unless it's a situation where he ends up going to a team just for the highest bidder where it's very obvious he's not going to be on a winning team. Like, that dude is one of the best basketball players that nobody talked about last year. And wherever he ends up, he's going to be – if he goes to UCLA will be a top 10 team for me. I'll tell you that right now. UCLA with him and Donovan Dent will be a top 10 team to me.